With any movie or comic centered around the story of a person who's set to play a hero, you need a villain. After all, that's what makes them the hero, right? Is this obvious condition required for each villain's ability to make complete sense? Marvel's answer seems to be along the lines of a strong maybe at best. Let's look at the best Marvel villains with powers that make no sense. At number 10, we have Whiplash, who tried to use what against Iron Man? Iron Man has seen his share of adversaries ranging from terrorists to evil geniuses and even aliens. He's also gone up against Whiplash, a guy who wears a regular suit that enables him to use energy whips with great speed and strength. No super speed, strength, or even armor, just whips. Now don't get us wrong, powers don't always have to be physical. The biggest example of this is Tony Stark himself, with his greatest power being his intelligence, but for Whiplash to be considered a formidable foe for the Armored Avenger makes no sense. Yes, these powers do mirror those of Tony Stark in that he used his intelligence to make a suit for himself, but having just energy whips is limiting and sort of inappropriate. At number 9, we have the Green Goblin's healing powers. The Green Goblin is definitely one of the most iconic villains to one of the most iconic heroes. His power lies in the Goblin formula that Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, develops and then takes. This gives him super strength and agility, which is aided by the fact that he has a cool hoverboard. Everyone knows how the story goes. He gets impaled by this very hoverboard in an attempt to kill Spider-Man. What doesn't really add up is that later in the Clone Saga, the Green Goblin makes a return and explains that the Goblin formula gave him healing powers. Now here, there are two things that don't make sense. First of all, to get any healing ability into the formula, Norman Osborn would have had to have it extracted from the DNA of someone like Wolverine or Sabretooth, which seems next to impossible. Does this mean he had a role to play in Stryker's project to create Project 11? Does seem like a pretty valid theory. Secondly, if this was always a thing, did Harry Osborn not know? Imagine being Spider-Man having to hold your best friend as he dies, all while he has healing powers that he just doesn't know about. Coming up in number 8, we have Abomination, who is an abomination. Everyone knows Abomination for being a great villain to match up against the Hulk. Created by the same means that turned Bruce Banner into the Hulk, Abomination's story sort of just doesn't make sense. It's worth noting that the Abomination wasn't born like this. He used to be a regular guy in the army. He was turned into this through experimentation to create a super soldier, one that seemed to be even stronger than the Hulk. Unlike the Hulk, Abomination's persona isn't split into two. He's just the Abomination. His powers also include being able to breathe underwater, but it remains unclear why he had to be turned into a monster to fulfill his goals. Following that, at number 7, we have Bullseye, who can kill anyone with anything. Bullseye is a contract killer who has a reputation for being able to take a fatal shot with just about anything at his disposal. He's also well equipped in hand-to-hand combat, which makes him a formidable threat on multiple levels. The part that makes little sense about Bullseye's impeccable aim is the ability to kill someone with literally anything he puts his mind to. Being able to finish enemies with playing cards, toothpicks, paper clips, Bullseye isn't just up against his enemies here, he's fighting the laws of physics too. Securing number 6 is Dr. Curt Connors, aka the Lizard. Dr. Curt is most famously known from the movie Spider-Man No Way Home, which features the epic multiverse concept that brings all three Spider-Men into the same reality to deal with one of the biggest threats each one of them has seen. One of these threats is Dr. Curt, who turns himself into a lizard with a diabolical plan of turning everyone in New York City into a lizard. This gives him super strength and speed, very typical powers to have in the Marvel universe. Guess we could say that he's also as agile as a lizard? Clearly we're struggling with this one. The guy's literally a lizard, which poses the question, how many Spider-Men does it take to kill a lizard that's releasing poisonous gas into the city? It remains unclear what his motivation behind this plan is. Why does he want to turn everyone into a lizard? Coupled with the fact that turning himself into a lizard does absolutely nothing to aid his larger plan is what lands him a spot in today's video. Following Mr. Lizard, we have Echo at number 5, who can copy people. Marvel seems to have a trend of turning their heroes' limitations into the very thing that makes them who they are. It provides for a great story arc, as we've seen with Daredevil, but maybe it doesn't always make complete sense. Echo is deaf, but she doesn't let that stop her from becoming an influential character in the MCU. Her power lies in her photogenic memory and the ability to reproduce the reflexes of her opponents. While this does seem to be very cool, it's still unclear what sort of advantage this gives her. She can reproduce fighting styles, but does this give her the strength to back up the reflexes of her enemies? Is this all she has to offer? We don't know. At number 4, we have Kingpin, who's basically just big. Kingpin, as the name suggests, Beasts is a mobster-style villain, but not just any mobster. He's considered to be one of Spider-Man's biggest adversaries because of his largely unquestionable strength. His incredible size and amount of muscle give him a huge advantage over his enemies. What doesn't make sense is the fact that he actually has no powers. As do the rest of the villains featured in the Marvel Universe, he's a trained sumo wrestler who's extremely agile, but other than that, he's a normal human. There's no mutation that accounts for his size or agility. There's no special formula that gives him the power to be as big as he is while also maintaining the speed that he has. The consensus among the fans is that there's no way that a normal sumo wrestler should be able to cause that much difficulty for a hero like Spider-Man. The interesting bit about Kingpin is that he isn't even a side villain. Kingpin is pivotal to Spider-Man's story enough to be included in the original Spider-Man PlayStation game. Marvel has some explaining to do. First of the top three is the Leader, who is an anomaly. Examples of people being exposed to gamma radiation and then gaining powers is a common theme with Marvel's characters. We have Hulk, She-Hulk, Abomination, and Doc Samson, just to name a few. All these characters were given physical powers of insane magnitude due to their exposure to gamma radiation. The Leader, like the rest, was also exposed to gamma radiation. Unlike the others, he was gifted with superhuman intelligence and some mental powers. It was pretty clear to us because of Hulk and She-Hulk that if you get exposed to radiation, you get super strength, and you turn green. Why the Leader wasn't granted such powers and instead became super intelligent is something that is still unclear. Marvel seems to be going against a logic that they themselves set up. Next at number 2 is Mystique, who can shapeshift beyond the laws of physics. Marvel has quite a few shapeshifters, with Mystique topping the list. Mystique has used her powers to rise up the ranks of the Black Ops community and become an A-list member of the X-Men franchise. While her powers don't require much explanation, let us pose a question that none of us have asked before. How can she shapeshift into people bigger than her physical mass? It goes against the laws of physics and makes absolutely no sense. We're not physicists, so we can't say for sure, but come on, it's just not how mass works. Finally, taking number 1 is the Apocalypse, which is just straight up overpowered. Apocalypse is known to be one of the strongest beings in the universe due to his mutation, which has given him the ability to reign supreme over anyone he faces for over a millennia. His survival of the fittest outlook on the world has seen him kill countless humans. Superhumans and mutants in his time in the Marvel Universe remind you of anyone else? He has super strength, durability, energy powers, psionic powers, and complete control over his molecular structure. Across the board, mutant powers usually make sense, with multiple powers complementing each other. In this case, Apocalypse's huge arsenal of powers is different from each other, especially his energy and psionic powers. Even the fact that he's used celestial technology to enhance himself doesn't justify the array of powers at his disposal. We guess Marvel were really on the spot with the name then, huh? That's a wrap for this video. What do you think about all of the villains we mentioned in this video? Do you think we missed any? Please let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this while you're down there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.